Hey everybody, we have CEO of Grown Rogue International, Obi Strickler, joining us right now. Obi, how's it going?
It's going good today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. Yeah. So let's dive into your company. Can you give us and our viewers an overview of what Grown Rogue International is all about?
Yeah, Grown Rogue is a vertically integrated multi-state operator with assets in Oregon, California, as well as Michigan. Our focus is on bringing the best quality products into the markets, really about innovation and taking our business model that we've taken very aggressively with a single state and 3 licenses into 3 states and 22 licenses as of today.
So what states are you? You're in Michigan and where else?
We are in Michigan, Oregon, and California.
Oh, okay. Oregon as well. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm just looking over your press releases. You have a 19,000 square foot cultivation in Detroit?
We have 20,000 square foot of cultivation in Detroit that we're getting licensed right now. Mm-hmm. We have a retail dispensary in Midtown, which will be about a 3,000 square foot. It's one of 75 licenses that are going to be issued inside of the city of Detroit. Okay. And then we also have one of 4 licenses that were issued in Hazel Park.
Okay, that sounds good. What's the timeline for the retail? So, but maybe when you're able to open and actually sell product?
We're anticipating the first retail store coming online in Q4 of or Q3 of 2019 this year. Second one will come on in Q4. Our production center will also be on in Q4.
Okay. I'm not sure if you're aware of the lottery situation that happened in Ontario. Opening a retail location to me seems rather complicated. Like there's a lot of moving parts, point of sale, getting product, security, all that kind of stuff. And in Ontario, you have 60% of the lottery winners were just individuals, not even running businesses. So, what's your experience with how complex it is to get a retail store open?
Yeah, the complexity comes in the licensing structure. There's challenges when you don't have the right process and procedures in place. And so for Grown Rogue was a very experienced cannabis operator in multiple states. You know, going through the retail process in a new state is kind of a common theme that we've done in other areas. What it takes is a good team. You have to understand the regulatory landscape, work within the parameters that they put in place. So in Michigan, it's really quite simple. There's state licensing, which then goes down to the local licensing. And so we've achieved or secured the right real estate locally. And then we take that, once you have the zoning and the approvals from the local jurisdiction, you kick that up to the state, and then the state goes through a very detailed background check, financial, taxes, to make sure that they are only allowing the most secure and best operators to have licenses in their state.
Good. Speaking of Detroit specifically, are you anticipating good sales there overall, like comparison to other cities? Is it the type of place you expect to see, better numbers than others? Or
the answer to that is absolutely. I mean, Michigan is one of the most exciting markets in the U.S. right now. So Michigan has the second largest patient database in the U.S., only to California. It's the largest per capita database inside of the U.S. Now, to put that into comparison, Michigan has about 10 million people. Canada has 40 million. Michigan has more patients than Canada does.
How's that possible?
One, it's a good question. Yeah. One of them is the U.S. is really where the big opportunity in this sector is. It's why Grown Rogue is so focused inside of the different states that we operate here. The other part of it is Michigan's a very advanced state when it comes to cannabis consumption. Medical cards were easier to get inside of that state, but that's why we're so excited about the opportunity to take our proven model out of Oregon, which has been very successful in our year-over-year growth, and apply those processes, our products, our brand, as well as the execution of our team into one of the, arguably the most exciting and largest market in the U.S. right now.
Yeah, speaking of exciting markets, you mentioned California. Mm-hmm. Is it a bit daunting to enter that state given the high level of competition and just the amount of people that want to get in there?
Yeah, I would say daunting is a relative term, seeing as though we come from Oregon, which is arguably the most competitive state in the U.S., and our business model has been proven out. So we look at California as very close to the existing operations that we have, as well as it's the largest market in the U.S., quite possibly the largest cannabis market in the world as the industry continues to mature. So our battle-tested team, having navigated through price compression, the challenges of innovation and being lean manufacturing through Oregon, has positioned us arguably better than any public or private company currently in the sector to go into these new markets.
Okay, and let's talk about your team a little bit. We'll give you an opportunity to do a little bit of bragging here. On January 3rd, you had a press release about the appointment of your Chief Operating Officer, who's Adam Wolf. I'm just looking over this. He's got 15 years with Hilton Hotels and leadership roles of multi-billion-dollar companies. Maybe you could just talk about Adam and his role and how he'll help the company.
Yeah, so, again, one of the challenges we've seen in cannabis historically was the attraction of really good talent. One of the things I've been very good at in my career is inspiring great people to come join the company. Adam's another example of that. He comes with a great history of operational excellence in a number of the companies you just talked about. The two most pertinent ones to what we're doing is 1-800-Flowers, which is, he actually lived in Toronto for a series of years as he was running a large sales organization there. And then he was also the CEO of MJ Packaging, which MJ Packaging was the largest private cannabis packaging company in the US up until I think just recently. And so Adam brings a skill set, an attention to detail, a focus on the operational components of the business so that I can focus on the strategic growth, the vision, the expansion, and the other things that I spend my time on now.
So what's next for you in the company this year? What can investors look at to kind of measure success as it relates to the company?
I think Grown Rogue's a real gem. I mean, we came out inside of the market, before kind of the constraints around new CSE companies being listed. Our market cap's around $20 or $25 million. You compare that to the large kind of multi-state operators that are similar to us, and they have multi-billion-dollar valuations. And so the likelihood of Grown Rogue getting 100, 200% return on our current cap, that might add 30 or 40, $50 million to our current market cap. You look at a company, that's got $1 billion valuation, how do they achieve that same level of return? They got to grow their market cap by $1 billion or $2 billion. So we look at Grown Rogue's continued focus on our business model, which we've proven in Oregon, and then the expansion that we're having in California as well as Michigan is really being a game changer in terms of how the street, the investment community looks at our company. And I think as you continue to track us over the next, several months, quarters, as we continue to expand, we get our operations up in Michigan, you're going to see a real change in the response we get from the investment community.
And are you guys doing all your growth kind of internally? Or are you seeking partnerships and having meetings to that end, or what's the deal?
We do both. A lot of internal growth in Oregon. We kind of locked that state down. As we go into new states, there's really three critical things we look for. Number one is timing. Timing is critical as you navigate into a new state in terms of the transition from medical to recreational licensing. Number two is team. Team is absolutely critical. And so the team that we put in place inside of Michigan is not only well connected from the business side, arguably one of the most well-respected groups inside of that state, as well as our operational partner. And then it's location. So we got great real estate, but without a good team in a new state, it's really challenging to build an organization quickly. You don't have those site-specific components. You don't have the, kind of the built-in understanding of the political regimes, the local connections, things of that nature.
Okay, and then finally, I'll just ask you, because I kind of have to as a multi-state operator, what your views are on the United States federal government and what you kind of expect to see over the next, let's say, a couple of years.
I think, if I had a crystal ball, I would be able to predict exactly what.
Well, what I'm getting at is some of our guests have said that they actually prefer the way that it is now, and others would like it to open up federally, and it would benefit them. So I'm just wondering what your viewpoint is on that, and if you expect things to go a certain way.
Yeah, I think for most companies, we see real opportunity with some of that federal restriction. It limits some of the entrance into the space. That's changing a little bit as the perception in the public, adjusts and cannabis becomes more mainstream and approachable. We like where it is right now. We like the fact that there's some restrictive elements that allows us to scale and grow our business in a less competitive environment. That being said, we look at the West Coast as the place where innovation of product, where brands are going to be created, and we're looking forward to the days when we can take the infrastructure that we built in the Western U.S. and ship that nationally. And that's a really important factor of the future of where cannabis will be in Oregon, California, Washington. But for right now, we exist within the regulated structure. Allows us to grow the business before some of the bigger players come in. It's a really, really exciting space, good opportunity.
Great. Well, Grown Rogue International trades on the CSE under the ticker GRIN.
Yep, it's the company that makes you smile, GRIN.
All right, Obi, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Fraser. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks.